Welcome to another episode of the Time Management Revolution podcast. I'm Helene Segura, and I'm a time management fixer. Today, we have as our guest Leslie Josel, who is an award-winning ADHD coach and the founder of Order Out of Chaos, a global organization helping students with ADHD and executive functioning challenges succeed in school and in life. She's the creator of the Academic Planner, a tool for time management, and author of 3 acclaimed books. A dynamic speaker who has a booming personality, which I love. I've known Leslie for quite some time. She is a former voice behind Additude magazine, as in ADDITUDE magazine's Dear ADHD Family Coach column. And Leslie has been named one of the top 20 time management experts in the world by global gurus for 8 years running. Leslie, welcome.
We connected. I've always loved you and admired your work, and we've always kind of circled each other forever. So I'm so happy to be connected this way with you. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Let's start off with a basic, easy to understand definition. It has to do with the term that was used in your intro, and that is, what exactly is executive functioning?
Okay, so before we even do that, I just want to make sure everyone realizes who I speak to every single day, all day.
Let's let them in.
Okay, I'm letting you into my world. We work with students and their parents and related professionals who are supporting those students. So the way we speak is super user-friendly. It's very we call it parent-led language or student-led language, very user-friendly. So how we describe executive functioning is a little casual, because remember, we want to make it growth. We want to make kids feel good about it. So we actually don't even call it executive functions. We call it executive control, because we believe in the word control gives you agency. It gives you a place to go. It gives you choice and control over your mind and over what you do. So that's number one. But what executive functioning is, for all of you, it's controlled by your, the frontal lobe of your brain, and it's how you act. It's your organization, your time management, your focus, your memory, your mood regulation. Well, we like to say it's what you want to do and what you need to do with the right timing, the right cadence, the right energy, and the right focus. And if I'm drilling it all down, I like to say it's purposeful actions.
Ooh, I like that. And you're right, it's so easy to understand. I realize there are science we're not going to get into because we want to get into the practical applications for
you can get your science elsewhere. I always say that. Get your science elsewhere, but with me, you're going to get the user-friendly. You're going to get the, wait, is she at my house? Is she in my head? Yes, of course I'm in your house and in your head, because that's what I do. So I want you to understand it. I love the term purposeful actions because I feel like kids really understand it best that way.
Okay. Now, you mentioned time management already when
That's
you were explaining.
Them.
Yes. So what does executive functioning or purposeful actions, what does that have to do with time management and productivity specifically?
So I want to give you, I got to roll it back just to drop, to give you, like I call it, the 36,000 level view till we come here. So a lot of you out there might have heard the term executive functioning, or you might have heard ADHD and think they're one and the same, or even more so think that ADHD is like a disorder of hyperactivity or impulsivity. It actually isn't. For those of you out there who have been diagnosed with ADHD, you know you can focus. You just maybe don't focus on the right thing at the right time, right? So what ADHD is actually is an executive functioning disorder. It's all about self-regulation, right? It goes back to that definition of, can I do what I need to do and what I want to do with the correct, and I named a bunch of them prior. So I need that to be here. And the fun fact is that you can be, if you're diagnosed with ADHD, you automatically have executive dysfunction, because remember, ADHD is an executive functioning disorder. The opposite is not true. You can have an executive dysfunction diagnosis, but not be ADHD. because what executive functions do is tell your story. This is where I'm going to get to the time. It's very granular because executive functions are your organizing, your time, your focus, your memory. So it tells your story. It actually synthesizes down where your challenge might be. Time is one of them. So how does it fit? Is if the brain is having a difficult time, let's say self-regulating, because that's what it is, you are not necessarily those who have time management challenges, might not know where you sit in time, how long time has passed, how much time you have going. Or my favorite one is future awareness, right? When we have executive functioning and we are challenged with time, we live in two worlds. We live in the now, like right now, it's whatever time it is here, and I'm in Los Angeles. And like way over in St. Louis is the not now. And our friends who have executive dysfunction can't see the not now. And that's called future awareness. And what that means is something that you may have to act upon tomorrow, next week, even 3 weeks like from now that's happening, but you have to act on it now. You can't see the future. So you're not acting in the present.
Wow. You broke it down so wonderfully and so clearly. So thank you for that. And I do want to get into
because that's what I do. I try to take these complexities and try to make them where, okay, I can connect the dots.
Oh, and that's perfect. And I do want to cover one more definition type question before we get into more practical applications. And that is when you contacted me about doing this, you mentioned the term neurodivergence. And that is a term we're familiar with in our line of work, yours and mine. However, people have heard that, but don't necessarily understand what it means. And it's being used a lot more in the mainstream nowadays. So can you give us one of your wonderfully simple explanations as to what it is?
Very simple. And interestingly, to your point, and I know you have a lot of people out there that are executives and work in companies and all that, like what we are seeing is so much of neurodiversity, and I'm going to use this word, being celebrated in businesses. There's that change. I've been at this for 22 years. I've been doing this work before this work was this work. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I hope that makes sense. And what I'm noticing is, where, we used to hide it. We used to not want to tell anyone. We used to not want to ask for accommodations at work. And what we're seeing now is neurodiversity is being not only celebrated, but accommodated. I am absolutely seeing a shift. So what does we even have neurodiversity celebration week, some companies do. I think it is fantastic. Yes, I've done some speaking for them and I love it. But what it means is that you, in a very simple way, because there's nothing, I do not allow the words bad or good, wrong or right in my order out of chaos world. Never. We never use those words because what do they mean? So your brain isn't wrong or right, and your brain isn't good or bad. It just means that your brain learns, understands, processes, remembers, and thinks a little bit differently than more of a mainstream brain. That's all it means. So if your brain is processing and understanding and thinking and all those things a little differently, then we need to be working with you to set up systems and structures and accommodate you in the way that you do so that you can do the best work that you can. So that's what it means. It just means I think differently. I'm not as mainstream learner, or I'm not as not thinker, like I think badly, but like I just process information differently. I might need to hear it in 3 modalities, or I might need to hear it 3 different times, or I might need to be circling the room to absorb information. It just means I have to do things a little left of center. That's it. That's all it means.
There we go. Just making things so easy to understand. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Let's say we have a parent or a leader. They could be different people or the same person. They're listening to this and they may not feel any type of neurodivergence in their life. They may not feel any type of ADHD in their life. However, they are wondering if their kids might have some of these symptoms, or their
Okay.
employees or teammates may have some of these symptoms. What could they be out on the look for in order to recognize, hey, maybe my child needs to be taken to a place where there can be an assessment so we can see what's going on, or maybe
Okay.
one of my colleagues can do the same.
Okay. So that's a very big question, but I want to make everybody. I do not diagnose. I do not diagnose. My company. We are certified ADHD student and parenting coaches. So what happens is your kids come to us after they've been diagnosed. So we make it very clear we do not do the diagnosing, even though after 22 years, can I tell if your student has executive functioning challenges? Of course I can. Can I tell if an adult has? Yes, I can. So with an adult, it's a little bit different. I'm going to say, because I think sometimes, and this is more of a Leslieism, like meaning what I think after years of being in this field, is that a lot of our adults, they tend to hide their symptoms. They are very good, particularly those who work. I see it all the time where they will bring work home, or they'll stay late, or they'll try to figure out, under the radar, how to do things. So and again, I don't want to say because you do this, that means you have. So
Right.
that's not nice either. But what we see is a lot of what comes out in a work environment is the time management piece, right? Or the disorganization piece. It might be, I don't remember what you said. I'm missing deadlines. I don't know how to prioritize. Believe it or not, that's something that to me is a red flag. Time is a very easy one to recognize. Like, I'm late for meetings constantly. I have a hard time, meeting a deadline. But where it's a little more subtle is prioritization. Do I even know what I should be working on first? Do I know if something is going to be the hardest or the longest? So and it's funny, we weren't even going to talk about this, but what I feel as a manager should be doing, and I always say this even if I'm telling someone who's in an interview who's neurodivergent, the question I actually want you to ask in that interview is, can you tell me how you communicate? How do you let someone know what is the priority? If you text, do you phone, do you email, are you on Slack? But that communication piece within a team, to me, is key to helping that neurodivergent brain. They need to know what comes next. What is my deadline? What is important? So that's some of the things I see there. With children, that's a whole other thing. Your child could, we don't have enough time for it, but they could be overwhelmed. They could be showing some signs of anxiety. They could be having a hard time remembering. They could be having a hard time sitting still. They could be disorganized in their space and their stuff and their time. There are so many ways to look at this.
Now, you have already shared with us that you work with children and you work with their parents.
Parents, yes.
And chances are not all parents have ADHD and may not understand what is happening with their children, or may not fully understand what their children might be going through. How do you help a non-ADHD parent communicate with their ADHD child?
So when a parent comes to us and says, I have a student that's been diagnosed, we call them students. That's just how we speak. We don't call them children, because we have parents that have 22 and 23-year-olds that are still students who come to us for help. So if you are a student, right? So that's how we classify them. So we get a lot of like, my student's been diagnosed, what do I do? So believe it or not, the first thing I want to know is, how do you know that they have ADHD? Were they diagnosed, meaning were they professionally diagnosed? Like, not you saying they have it, but someone did some type of, testing on them. And I want to see what that testing says, because that testing will let me know, is it an organization of time that your student is having trouble with? Is it a working memory? Is it processing? Is it mood regulation? And once I have a better handle on what it is their challenges are, I can work directly then with the family or the parents. Sometimes it's not parents, that's why, but for our purposes, we'll say parents to support them in that journey. So if it's time, we're going to work on how to make a house a very time management friendly house, right? If it's, and not, the other thing I should have mentioned is there's many executive functions. Doesn't mean your child has all of them, right? You could have and that even is harder. Like I've had students who are really organized, but their working memory is really weak. Or I've had students who are time blind, but actually their mood regulation is, very, very cool. They're very regulated. They don't get overwhelmed easily. So that's my point. So if you come to me with, I think, my kid has very weak time, I can help you set up what we call a time-friendly house. If virtually, not in person, if your student has weak working memory, I'm going to give you parent-led language that's going to help you strengthen your student's brain. Does that make sense? So we really kind of dig in on what is the challenges. We're also working with you to support your student at school. Have you asked for a 504, an IEP, building accommodations? What all of that. It's a big process. It is a very big process.
Definitely. So you're making it very clear that there is not a cookie cutter, one size fits all solution for every single person, because every person is different and they will have a different challenge that they need to deal with in different environment as well.
100%. I mean, are there certain things that to me work that are beneficial for all kids across the board? Yes. It's called universal learning. So most of you probably have heard the term universal, right? Universal design. That's the cuts in the curb that were originally put for people that had physical challenges that work for all of us who are wheeling carts or luggage, right? Or the closed caption on the screen. I don't know about you, but I watch TV now because I can't sometimes hear what they're saying. It's this, right? That's universal design. It was done specifically for a small segment of the population, and it's actually universally adapted by all of us. It's the same thing what they call universal learning, where we're in schools putting things in place specifically for kids who are neurodivergent or brains are wired differently, who need movement in their learning or need things done in multiple modalities, or need that creativeness to really absorb information. Well, newsflash, folks, that's going to work for all kids. All kids work better when they're up and moving and have tactile experiences and have time externalized so they can internalize it, right? Or all students need choice and control. I have to say this. This is research proven, but the more choice and control we give our kids, this is neurodivergent children. I gotta believe it's the same for kids that are mainstream. But the more choice and control we give them, the more motivated they are and the less anxious they are. But yet, for some reason, when our kids were little, we gave them a ton of choices, right? Do you want the blue cup or the red cup? Do you want pasta or chicken nuggets, right? On and on and on the choices went. But as our kids got older and the stakes got higher, we got more anxious as parents and we clamped down and we stopped giving choices. We stopped going. We started going, you need to, I want you to, you have to. So if you really want to do something for your kids, this is universal, doesn't matter if your kid is 8 or 18, the more choice and control you can give your children, the more agency. How do you feel about that? What do you think of this? Will this work for you? Particularly if your student has a neurodivergent brain, the more motivated and less anxious they're going to be.
So important. And just a moment ago, you mentioned movement. It will help all children to be up and moving around. So can you expand on that a little more? How does movement help us?
Well, we tell parents and kids all the time, and I'm going to give you 3 things that are, I think, universal. We say movement is like a smoothie. It is filled with all the good stuff, okay? But that's how we talk. I'm sorry, that's what we say. So movement is what we call, movement helps to lay down learning. This is research proven, and that is just a very fancy way, friends, of saying movement helps us absorb information. You might have a child at home that cannot visually and auditorily process at the same time. So while we are used to going, look at me, I'm talking to you, Your neurodivergent child actually should not be looking at you. In fact, when I am teaching a student and I want them to absorb my information, I'm like, okay, get up, let's go, walk around the room. I'm speaking now. And it's funny. And they'll go, oh my God, I can totally absorb what you're saying. It sounds very counterintuitive, but movement helps us lay down learning. It helps us stay focused. It helps us to stay like activated, not only to initiate and stay activated, and it actually helps us memorize information. The other thing it does is it helps distractibility. The opposite of distractibility is movement. So if you really want to talk productivity, there's your like hack, for lack of a better way. And this is research proven. When we sit, everything drains. Everything drains from the brain down. That's why they call it brain drain. So what happens when we're exhausted and brain drain and losing focus? We are reaching for that dopamine. Dopamine, where's the hit? Where's the hit? So we might be reaching for the phone, we're reaching for Facebook, we're looking at interest in Instagram or Pinterest or Nordstrom.com, whatever your vice is. Are you all laughing out there? Because I know you. But that's what happens. We need that dopamine to wake up the brain. But if we're moving, there's no brain drain. The body is having its experiential experience. The body is moving. So that distractibility piece, that need for that dopamine, we're already getting it.
Fascinating. Something else that I find fascinating is earlier you mentioned how there are two types of time. There's now and there's not now.
Yes.
And I believe this will tie into procrastination, because procrastination is the act of wanting to feel better now. And that means you do other things and you move those things to the not now versus doing it now. So what kinds of procrastination tips might you like to share?
It's very funny because I think you and I, like, I love this. I forgot who wrote it. I'm sorry, but he talks about giving into feeling good. And it's about how when you get to the fork in the road, right, you can either go right or left. And right is your happy, pretty place, like I'm going to avoid something at all. And left is like where you really should be. And what you're saying to yourself is, I can't do that stuff I don't want to do until I feel better. So I'm going to turn right. But unfortunately, what happens is we don't feel better. Like one Netflix turns into 5 or 1 hour turns into 3. So I think that's what you were actually referring to. But I'm a little more tactile when it comes to procrastination. So number one, believe it or not, my biggest thing that I feel a lot, and remember, we're talking about time. People, remember, I'm a student one. Students procrastinate for a myriad of reasons. Number one being they don't know how to do something. So that is the biggest reason, believe it or not. They don't know how, and they can't figure it out because decision making is actually an executive function. So if you don't know how to do something and you have weak executive functioning decision making, we look at it as procrastination, but it's like, I don't know how and I don't know how to figure out, so I'm not going to. So there's no special hack there. We really need to make sure, instead of asking our kids, what do you have to do tonight? Do you really understand what it is you're being asked to do? It's a very different question. Do you understand? Because if your child doesn't understand, nothing's going to happen. So that's number one. But when it comes to procrastination and time, one of the things that works really well is that you must externalize time to internalize it. Externalizing time really helps your body feel time. I can feel 20 minutes. I can see 20 minutes. I have a party line that no one should be expected to manage time if they can't see it. And somehow as parents, we feel like our kids should know what 20 minutes looks like, how much time has passed, or what's going on. So as much as you can externalize it, analog clocks, there you go, analog clocks, calendars, timers, watches, even phones that have alarms on them, they're going to help your child see time, and therefore they will be able to initiate. The other part of that equation is seeing done. We talk a lot about that in our work with students. If your child cannot see where they are going and where the end actually is, then they are not going to start. So we use we use tools, not just clocks. We use timers because timers hold future time. We also use music. Music helps us see done because when we create a playlist, we don't like random music. We want a playlist. And we'll say to a student, make a 33, something like that. What happens is they start to hear the same music over and over again. So they get a sense of the timing and knowing when they're at, when they know they're at the end helps them either to initiate or stay the course. The third thing we do is we like to separate the setup from the task. Sometimes we feel that when we tell a kid to just do homework, it's too big. So a lot of times what we do as coaches is we'll say, we want you to just set it up. Open your books, pop your popcorn, get your tabs open your planner, whatever it is, get ready, and now leave. So that when you come back in, there's something, an external force, we call it an external communicator, almost drawing you in to where you need to be right now. We've kind of built the bridge, so that we've taken the thinking out of the equation. And we have seen so much success in that separating it out and not just diving in has helped a lot of kids get unstuck and started.
Oh, fabulous. Now, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you ever encounter students who give, let's call it a little pushback to what you're recommending?
Absolutely not. No, I don't want to curse, but you got to remember who I deal with. Like, yes, of course.
And so how do you handle that? How do you help the parents handle that? Because everything that you're recommending is for their own good. How do you get them to see that light?
Choice and control. I'm going to keep going. It's funny. One of the things we do at Order Out of Chaos, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just giving you an idea of what we do. Other than the coaching, we give live webinars on a monthly basis to our community. And my people laugh, my community laughs. They go, Leslie, you say it to us over and over and over and over again. So here's my party line, okay? It is your job as the parent to set a parameter. Set the parameters. What are you comfortable with? But it's your child's job to negotiate it. And a lot of times we forget that is their job. Their job is not just to say, okay, whatever you want, whatever you say. Now, again, you're setting parameters. I don't believe in permissive parenting. I don't believe in whatever you want. So don't come after me. I don't. I believe in a parenting of, I am the parent and these are the parameters I'm good with. Now it's your job to negotiate what's in them. So if you are doing the, I need you to, I want you to, you have to's, you're going to get no buy-in. So I always lead with, would you be willing? Would you consider? What do you feel about? How about we try this? Or you get this and this. Which one do you want? The other thing, and I have to say this too, is I never move a kid from A to Z. And this is how I do get buy-in. Most of us, if a kid we want the kid to be at Z. We want them to be studying every night and writing in a planner and being in study groups and doing everything perfectly. And I'm like, oh, God freaking no. That is just not going to happen. So if you have a student that's doing absolutely nothing, we're at A. Z is like in St. Louis, right? Remember it's like over in St. Louis. I'm just on B. What one little change can we make? So if I'm noticing a student is, let's say, doodling, I'm like, I notice you like to doodle. You don't like to write in a planner, but how about a roll of paper towels? Something fun, something different. I'm going to try, do you see my point? We're just moving you to the next step. And not until I get you at that next step can I move you to the next one. And I think, I'm not here to disparage parents. I am one. I think we forget that. I think we forget that we need all of those steps in place to ultimately get where we want to go.
That's a very important reminder. So thank you for sharing that. Something else I'd love to find out from you, so please do share, is you run a very successful business. You help so many people around the world. You are good at helping others with time management and productivity. More than good, because you're on the Global Gurus list. So, can you share with us one of your daily best practices, something that you do to help you keep it all together, keep focused or keep organized during the day?
Okay, so I will tell you that I am a very, very, very busy lady. We have a ton going on, and I don't know if I'm going to share anything with you that is so like, wow, that's genius. I'm just going to share with you what works for me. So I'm going to share two things. I write everything down, every single, like everything, even if it's by like toilet paper. It is written down. It is not in here. So that's the thing. For me, I am a paper, paper girl, paper girl. So that's number one. And everyone who knows me, even my family, my friends, my team members, because I have a lot of people work for me. If you want me to do something, it has to come into an email, and that's it. Do not text me, do not Slack me, do not do it in it has to be email. And believe it or not, having one line of communication is actually, I feel, one of the best productivity tips, because I feel like I waste so much of my time. Like, wait, did you send it to me here? Did you send it to me there? And if that is a hard and fast rule. I have adult children, but they still need me. Do not text me. Do not text me. I will not answer. So that's number one. The other thing I do is I batch and focus my time, and I really walk the walk that we speak, and I use a timer. I get so overwhelmed, even me, with I have to finish that article, or I have 25 emails, or I have to review like things that my OBM sent me. And what I find works for me is I clear the decks. I pick one like content that I'm going to do. So it's either all emails or all phone calls or all writing. And I set a timer, you're going to laugh, for 57 minutes.
Okay.
Never an hour, because this is for my neurodivergent friends out there. Even numbers are boring and our brain doesn't react to it. So even with students, we never set things for 15 or 20 minutes. It's 33 minutes, 17 minutes, 57, because that helps like bring energy to your brain. That's fun, and fun is novel, and novel is exciting, and exciting is a dopamine hit. Even me, and I'm neurotypical. And what I do is I see that timer and I just batch and I focus. And even if I don't get them all done, at least I know that I spent that 57 minutes in my deep focus work. And I shut everything down. Like I shut my phone, I shut everything down. So there is absolutely nothing to disturb me.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing your secrets. Appreciate that.
It's the secrets.
Yeah, I know there's so much more that we can talk about, but we like to
Yes.
keep the podcast to a
Sure.
certain length, because especially for folks who are super busy out there, or they might not have as long of an attention span as they would like, this is going to hit the sweet spot. So Leslie, after hearing all this, I know that a lot of folks will want to get in touch with you, find out more about your services, your books. How can they do that?
So make it easy. The name of our company is Order Out of Chaos, and they can go to orderoochaos.com. And from there, you can find the webinars, the coaching, the products, videos, everything. Just go there, and then it'll take you to wherever you would like to go.
Okay, fantastic. Leslie, thank you so much.
Oh, I loved being here with you today. Thank you so much. I hope everybody enjoyed it.